What is up, Terps fans? Welcome into another Fear the Podcast. I am still out on the West Coast. I would say living my best life, but I am in just this underwhelming hotel room where the Wi-Fi is sketchy, so sorry if my face freezes in awkward positions. The toilet flushes every 1 minute, basically nonstop, so that is not a ghost if you hear flushing in the background, and the guy on the other side of the wall is listening to just whale sounds on full blast for literally no reason, or no reason that I'm aware of. So good times, but that's okay. We're talking Maryland, Iowa. I feel reasonably good about this matchup for Maryland. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have thought that way if I hadn't watched most of their game. Iowa's game against Michigan State the other night, it was not particularly impressive for my money. That is their first loss on the season, though, and Michigan State is a good ranked team for a reason. This is a 7-1 Iowa team. They're ranked 29th on KenPom, even after a almost 20-point loss against Michigan State. Maryland is currently ranked 89th, even after a 20-plus point win against bad Wagner team. Didn't moved up like 3 or 4 spots, but no big deal. This Iowa team beat Robert Morris, a good mid-major team, 101-69 to start the year. Beat Western Illinois 77-58. They beat Xavier 81-62. They beat Southeast Missouri 99-70. They beat Chicago State, one of the worst programs in Division One, realistically 93-54. But hey, beating anybody by 40 points is still impressive. They beat an Ole Miss team that maybe wasn't quite as good as I thought. I would have thought there was like a fringe ranked team going into the season here, or early in the season. 74-69. Neither team looked great in that game, in my opinion. They beat Grand Canyon, who's perennially a pretty good mid-major program, 59-46. That is a common theme. Not only is this Iowa team not afraid to play a game in the muck, they want it to be there. They're going to play at this glacial pace. So be ready for one of the slowest basketball games in modern history. I'm just given the way both of these teams have been playing. And then their most recent game, as I mentioned, was on Tuesday night against Michigan State. They lost 71-52. Just like I said, just not a good game from Iowa here overall. Michigan State did a really good job of not only limiting Bennett Sturts, the best player and all Big Ten caliber player for Iowa, but they just limited everybody else too. Like Iowa was not particularly good offensively in this game, despite being a methodical team that wants to run good offense and put a defense through its paces. They shot 38% from the field or below that, 30.5% from three, and only 64% from the free throw line, which they only got to 17 times. So just not going to get it done. And they got absolutely pummeled on the boards by Michigan State. They had 18 rebounds, which is not good in any basketball game, realistically, unless you're shooting like 1,000,000%. But Michigan State had 37. So just two Big Ten teams. You would expect there not be a 20 rebound disparity like that. But Michigan State just sort of beat their heads in. And hopefully, if you're Maryland, you haven't been great on the boards this year, but Solomon Washington comes back at just the right time, because I think he's important for a matchup like this. And he's maybe a guy that could guard Sturts for portions of this game. I was actually wondering who on the Maryland perimeter is the guy that guards Sturts for them, because he really is the one that makes everything work for this Iowa team. So let's go through a little bit of the stats here. Iowa shoots 51.5% from the field. They hold opponents to 44.5%, so pretty good disparity there. They shoot 37.3% from three, hold opponents to 31.9%. They shoot 19.9 free throws per game. They hold opponents to 13 free throws per game. So they're pretty good at getting to the line more than their opponents, which this is a Maryland team that has lived at the free throw line so far this year. And I'll cover the Maryland updated stats here in a minute. Rebounds, they out-rebound their opponents 29.8-27, so not a big advantage there. And I mentioned they have played a lot of mid-major teams as well. They're essentially a mid-major front court, realistically, and just Sturts is just so good. He levels everyone up. And Ben McCollum is such a good coach that I think, honestly, he's elevated the level of player they have here. But this seems like a good matchup for a Maryland team that was built to do this. They haven't thus far. But maybe things are starting to click and come into place here a little bit this many games into the season. We're pushing a third of the way through the year, so this would be a great time at the start of conference play for Maryland to finally lock in on the things they need to lock in on. Iowa does not turn it over a lot. Sturts has the ball a lot, and he is pretty sure-handed overall. They have 10 turnovers per game. They force 15.4. They have a really good assist to turnover ratio, 1.6. They hold opponents to 0.6. So let's run through the Maryland side of things. This is updated. Maryland shoots 41% from the field, which is just dreadful. They hold opponents to 44%, 44.7, percent from the field. Maryland shoots 31% from three. Honestly, kind of about what we expected. I said all year if this team could get to like 34% and be really good on the boards and protect the ball, this would be like a 6 seed in the Big Ten. But they are not really doing that. Honestly, like they're worse kind of in all three respects here that I thought was critical for them. They are getting the free throw line a lot, which I think they'll need to do in a game like this as well. They get there 27.6 times and hold opponents to 13.9 free throws per game. They're going to have to do that, like I said, in this game and have like a 15 free throw advantage just because of where their offense is at. The rebounds, 37.1 for Maryland, 37.2 for opponents. So they have not really done a great job containing their opponents, rebounding, but they've done a pretty good job of getting the ball themselves. Also helps when you just miss a lot of shots. There's a lot of balls for you to rebound. Turnovers per game, 13.4. Force 15.2 from opponents. Their assist to turnover ratio is 0.9, so anything sub 1 is just disappointing in my opinion. And hold opponents to 1.1. Just talking through a little bit more on this Iowa team, I think they're like the real keys for the game here, or obviously just the own ones. Like Buzz Williams has talked a lot about just kind of like worrying about themselves, and I think that is true to some extent here. But for Maryland, like I would do whatever it takes to slow down Sturts. I would double him in transition. I would pick him up like two guys if I need to double him, and I would absolutely blitz him and just not let him have the ball for 25 seconds of the shot clock in the half court. It's just not good. Like good things happen for Iowa when he has the ball a lot because eventually he'll make a good decision and make another guy look better than they would be individually. So I would just take away Sturts as best I can, similar to what Michigan State did. And that's what happens sometimes when these teams get to conference play is the formula becomes repeatable and it's up to someone like McCollum to adjust, which I think he will. So I would have loved to not play them after they got bludgeoned by Michigan State, but at least you see a little bit of what the recipe is to beat this team. You have to just have to dominate them on the glass. This is more of a finesse team, as I mentioned. There's no real dominant big man. So if you're Pharrell Payne, should absolutely feast in this game. I would treat them just like I treated Wagner. I would be trying to go for 30 and 10 in 30 minutes of play. Like that's what it will take for Maryland to win this basketball game, is for him to just be elite, which honestly he's been, all things considered, given what happened to him injury wise. Like he's powered through that as well as anyone could have possibly expected. I will make you work on offense. Well, joke's on them. Maryland will make Maryland work on offense too. So no matter what the Terps do here, they're going to have to just like protect the ball at the very least, try to get the free throw line. Like I said, if you're Iowa, they're going to try to make these possessions last as long as they can for Maryland and then force them into a tough shot at the end of a shot clock. Maryland inherently has been doing that to themselves, so I would start every possession with a post touch, give it in to Pharrell Payne, and hope he can make some good decisions and either score a lot himself or kick it out to guys. And then I would do whatever I can to try to set Darius Adams up as a driver, and you just really hope that this is a good Miles Rice game. I don't want him to get into like, a pissing contest essentially with Bennett Sturts and which one of us is the better Big Ten point guard. Like just be Miles Rice and create for others and then hunt your shot when you get the opportunity. Like Sturts is okay defensively. I don't know if that's the matchup for the whole game here, but I would still go at him. And at the very least, you're making him work on offense. This is a guy that will probably play, 37 minutes of this game realistically. I mean, he just plays a lot. He played 36.58 minutes in the Michigan State game. Like he's going to be on the court for a vast majority of this game. And if you're Maryland, if you can make him work defensively too, or hunt him in switches just to try to like grind him into the ground, I think that's the best possible move for you right here. So can they do it? It remains to be seen. I think they will do it, but I just looked it up. Sturts is averaging 37 minutes per game, which is crazy because the next highest guy on the team averages 27. So it's just like a big drop off from the workload that he has for the rest compared to the rest of that roster. So slow down Sturts, establish Pharrell Payne as much as you can. I would throw as many different looks and bodies at him as possible and find something that works. I would put Andre Mills on him for a stretch to give him a athletic guy. I would actually put Diggy Coit on him and let him pick him up full court and be little and just be up in him. Sturts is a reasonably taller point guard, and Coit can get up under you and make you work a little bit more. I think that would be good. The pressure would be a nice thing to see in this game, just again to like make them take longer in into getting into what they want to do. And they're okay with that. Like I said, they want to play a slow pace. So let them play a slow pace, but make them work to get all the points and make Sturt specifically work as much as possible here. If I were Maryland, I would try to get out and run a little bit offensively if you can, just to try to change the tempo up and not let them totally dictate the play. Maryland is not a particularly fast-paced team, but they're not Iowa slow. So try to make them play a little bit more on your terms as much as you can. I think the real question, if you're an Iowa fan, is like, who guards Pharrell Payne in this one? Cooper Koch is probably the guy who gets the assignment. I would think he's probably their best of the bigs this year. I would say of the starters, he started all 8 games. 6'8" power forward. He's averaging 8.5 points and 4 rebounds per game. He's their second leading rebounder. Their other big man who will play a lot of minutes in this game and plays about 20 a game is Alvaro Folgueras. He averages 9 points, 4.3 rebounds. Kind of a stretch big, honestly. Like he and Koch both are shooting. Let's see, Folgueras is shooting 44% from 3. Not on crazy volume, but pretty good volume. And Koch shooting 45.8% from 3. Both of them 25 and 24 attempts respectively. So they're not like dealing it over and over again here, but it's enough of a sample size that you have to respect them. And then Sturtz is shooting like a really impressive 44% from 3 on 43 attempts. So he's shooting the most threes on the team and making them an insane clip. So can't leave him open. You can't help off of him at any point in time. I would honestly, like I said, put Solomon Washington on him for some stretches and just let him like face guard him around the court and just try to be long and disruptive. The problem is you also need Washington under the basket to out rebound some of these guys. So I don't know. This isn't a beefy, big Maryland team as we've talked about, but this is probably okay in a matchup with Iowa where they're not going to like dominate you inside and they don't really have the answer for all Payne. So I think that really is the key matchup, is which one of those bigs for Iowa is able to slow down Payne, if at all. And then conversely for Maryland, it's what do you do with their star? And like I said, I would put 4 different guys on throughout the course of the game. Between Mills, I would have Rice on him for stretches. I would let Watts guard him a little bit. I would have Coit guard him for a bit, and then Washington some as well. So it's literally 5 guys that I would just sort of cycle through and try to keep them as fresh as they can, because if you're guarding that guy for long possessions and they're running them through ball screens and things like that, it's going to get tiring. And this guy averaging 18 points a game for a reason, despite having everybody on every scouting report ever will say stop Bennett Sturtz to have a chance in this one. So I think prediction time, I don't know what the spread is yet. I'm recording this a little early, just given travel schedule and things like that coming home. So I'm going to take Maryland by 6 here. I really do feel good about this one. If it were like, I don't know, let's go 68, 62, something in that ballpark, I would feel really good about this one for Maryland. It'd be a great way to start Big Ten play and then get ready for that Michigan game. You'd have basically a whole week to prepare, at that point, and that would be nice, just to rest some of your front court, and hopefully you're not wearing Pharrell Payne out too much before playing probably the biggest and best front line in the country. But you need him to get through Iowa first, so start with that. That's my prediction. Please do me a favor. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you're feeling about this Maryland team. I like interacting with everybody who listens to the show and getting feedback and just seeing what you guys think about this team. Also, if you can hit like for us on this YouTube video, really always appreciate that. It's a nice way to draw extra attention to the video and then help find other Terp fans. So we really appreciate when you guys do that. It's kind of the one thing we ask for here on the program. So if you're liking the videos, do us a favor and click that like button for us. As always, if you want to rate, review, subscribe, all those good things to the channel here on YouTube, or leave an iTunes review. Jeff and I and the IMS crew always appreciate that. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully we have an exciting recap to do for you. I am planning to have Dave Neal on for that one as well. So shout out Dave for agreeing to do that. Get his input and feedback on what it's like to be in this situation where this Maryland team is at. You obviously had a couple of tough stretches here at Maryland as well, and then how you turn it around, and we can get some firsthand insight on what it's like for being in these athletes' positions. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully we're talking about a win. Always more pleasant to do a recap with a fun guy like that when there's something fun to talk about. So fingers crossed, and until then, fear the podcast.